Good morning. Good to be with you again this morning. And building on the 4 pillars of a healthy Christian business leader. The pillars are healthy relationships, biblical financial values, biblical spirituality, and balanced living. This week we are focusing on pillar number 4, which is balanced living. And the series is called Family Vacation or Family Vacations. This week's series is going to be based on one text for the entire week, and it's based on Mark chapter 6, verse 30 down to verse 32. And this is how it reads. The Bible, the apostles returned to Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. And he said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a desolate place by themselves. So that's the text dealing with family vacations. So today's topic is just the question, what was your best family vacation? Just think about that for a minute. What was your best family vacation? Family vacations, when I was growing up, were usually road trips. But they were road trips along the countryside, and we were traveling to go visit family or friends. That was pretty much what our family vacations would be. I grew up in Belgium, and so the opportunity to visit some of the great sites of Europe were right there. Now, growing up in Belgium, obviously I went to Brussels and saw all the sites there. I saw some of the great zoos in Belgium as well, and those are great things. But my dad, he grew up at a time when leisure was considered to be something frivolous, and so the idea of just traveling around to go see sights in his mind was kind of a waste of time. So unless you had a purpose of going somewhere, you would go visit family, you go visit friends, or it was maybe work related. There was no real desire to go and just, I mean, I probably was 4 hours from Paris and never saw Paris. I would have been maybe 5 or 6 hours from Rome, but never saw Rome, because it was just considered frivolous. Of course, now I live in Canada, and the idea of going to Europe to go see those sites is just so much more costly. So we would do road trips, and the occasional weekend we would go away as well. But most of those would be related to either, again, going to visit family or friends or some kind of work-related event. Now, that reminds me, my wife and I, we have this movie, and I love it. It's called RV, and it's with Robin Williams, and he's the father. As a father, he wants to take his family on a road trip. Now, they want to go to some exotic place for vacation. He convinces them that a road trip in an RV would just be a great family bonding time. And the whole thing just becomes one disaster after another. At one point, the RV is rolling down a hill all by itself, and just a whole disaster. Ends up in a lake, and if you haven't seen the movie, I won't say much more, but it really, I mean, it's just a movie about him trying to take his family on this road trip, but all because he had a job interview or presentation that he had to make at a certain location at a certain time. And so he was really gunning to get there and do some sightseeing along the way. In the end, it all worked out. The RV didn't really survive, but his family does. But of course, that's a movie and not real life. And it's hilarious. So if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to. It's a good, fun family movie. Now, Jesus tells the disciples, after they've been working, they've been on, if you want to use a terminology, a business trip. It was a ministry they were out doing ministry across the country, and they come back and they're exhausted. And what does Jesus say to them? He says, come away, come away. Now, for us in our day today, we would say, get away. Take some time away from the busyness of life. Let's go. And what is he doesn't just say, come get away, but he says, come to a desolate place. A desolate place, a place where there is, there aren't any people. People aren't going to come and disturb you, where people can't find you. In our day, again, I mean, it would be an issue finding a place where people can't find you, or where they can't phone you. So my wife and I, we have this, well, we don't have it anymore, but we had a cabin in the bush that we built, and on 21 acres of land, and it was just a place for us to go. There was no hydro, no running water, no bathrooms, no nothing. But it was a place where we could get away. And this is before, of course, cell phones, and so there was no phone. Once a week I'd go into town and just check to see if there were any phone messages left at home. But beyond that, people had really no way of contacting us. And those are good things to do. It's a little harder these days with cell phones and all of that, but that's where it's, taking the initiative to turn the phone off and just not allow people to be able to connect with you. So you really do get that rest. And then that was the thing. He said, come away to a desolate place and then rest a while. And that vacation, I mean, vacation is really about that, right? And so, what was your best family vacation where you got away and you got a chance to rest and just to be, connected with your family? We're going to talk about that throughout this week. And then, they had been so busy. In fact, it tells us, I find this little detail significant. It was so busy that they didn't even have time to eat proper meals. Now, I don't know if you've ever been that busy. I know I have. And you just get to that place where it's like, like go. And next thing you know, it's like 3 in the afternoon, you haven't even had lunch, and it's just like, oh, what happened here? And like, you can do that once, you can do that a couple times, but if you're doing that all the time, eventually you're going to burn out. And so vacations are good for that. And so we'll be touching more on that kind of stuff this week as we talk about family vacations. And so, again, just a question for each one of us to consider as you go through your day to day. Plan your next family vacation. Consider what will make it memorable. Now, I know COVID-19 and travel is restricted for most of us right now, certainly here in Ontario and other parts of Canada as well. But here's the question, and we'll talk more about staycations tomorrow, but there are other ways of doing vacation than traveling far. You can still do it even within your own community if that's the option that we have right now. So plan your next vacation. Consider what will make it memorable. And then maybe we recognize that a family vacation is very, very possibly the very thing that God's calling you to. Again, I love this. This is Jesus. Jesus is calling these men to a vacation, to come away and find a desolate place and rest. May the Lord bless you. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.